New week.
You had an eventful week.
Yeah, last week, Orlando, Daytona, Miami. Paige, two-time national champ in college, cheer in Orlando. First time, she's been cheering since she was like a wee tyke, I'm guessing elementary. And they have a thing in cheer called hitting, where you've got 18 kids at Eastern, and they've got a 2.5, I guess it's 2 minute and 28 second routine, and all these complicated throwing people in the air, handstands, all this crazy stuff. I've never seen them hit in a competition on stage like that where they didn't have any flaws. They not only did it once, they did it twice, and they won the national championship back to back, which was cool because as a dad, it's the first time I've seen her do that at that level ever. So after that, went down to see Mr. Cardone, Grant Cardone. So we're following him. The team is on a journey of his training. I'm also following him because of what I'm going to show you here, because this is the number one thing I took away. Money follows attention. And this is what we're struggling with right now in our business, is convincing a lot of restaurant owners that you can look past guaranteed results, because nothing's guaranteed. You got to look at the attention, is that people's wallets follow attention. The more attention you have on this device of your customers, the more times they're going to spend money with you. 2010, this is his Google. So this is the Google Trends for Grant Cardone. This is his company's revenue. His actual revenue from 2010, he was 3.3 million. 2021, they ended at 1.5 million. Or not, 105 million. Sorry, not 1.5, 105. Look at the chart. His awareness online, Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, search, you name it, follows his sales. If this stayed flat all the way across, that would have stayed flat. And that's the big thing. Like yesterday, I'm talking to a restaurant. I'm like, you've got, in our world, 3 things. My next book is going to be based off of this. Attract, build, retain. In college, I attracted my wife. We then built a relationship. And guess what? These are my stick figures. This is her. We have retained her and 2 kids. And so that's the huge lesson there, is that money follows attention. That if your business doesn't start with attention, if you don't get attention, and today it's on a device, and we were just meeting with Rising Star Casino yesterday, talking about what we can do different for them. They've been a client for a couple years. Every casino does the same shit. It's promotions, it's pre-recorded promos, it's staged content. It's not this, it's not organic. That's what people want to see. And so we were talking to them, like, we've got to figure out how to attract the attention of more consumers in this area for their casino, and it's the same for restaurants. So when you go to an event like that and see Grant Cardone, who's a real estate mogul that is following that, you hope that we can bring that back to the restaurants, the person that owns one restaurant. Patrick Harder's coming in next week. He's got a handful of locations of franchises, but the main one we're talking about says Rapid Fired Pizza Fairfield. It all starts here. That if you do not attract the attention consistently of the consumer, whether they're driving by on Facebook, on text, on email, on Google, on Yelp, on Instagram, on Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever, you don't get a chance to build a relationship. And what's even more ironic is that once you have their attention, don't piss it away. Walked in 2 restaurants back to back last week, and I'm telling Luis, I'm like, the 3 things that drive me crazy. We talk about this in this episode, because we've had, 4 or 5 meetings about it with different restaurants and different businesses, is there's 3 questions that happen at every restaurant. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what do you want to eat? And hey, give me your money. And the problem I have with that is you don't care how I'm doing. I don't care how you're doing. It's a transaction. Why not flip the script and create something really cool? That's what I'm working on. I'm working on a huge program. It's going to give, you've heard Jay-Z's, I've got 99 problems. I'm coming up with MPs. I got 365 opportunities. I want to give restaurants, the owners, the operators, the staff, the managers, the cashiers, the servers, the bartenders, 365 conversations to help eliminate that BS question and take a relationship. When I walk in that restaurant, I walked in Morton's last Friday night in Miami, and they said, hey, how you doing? They could have done something much better to get me to building that relationship. That's all we got. We've got a podcast with David. Let's go shoot that. And then we are off to the rest of the day. Oh, you're on that side. You're supposed to be over here.
What's up?
What up? You ready?
Getting things set up.
We're set up. You got to come in here. You're our keyboard guy. It's, fat kid with Dorito stuff all over his face that makes me want Doritos on TikTok. That's an accident.
Yeah.
And I think about businesses haven't adapted. You look at it, 99, I guarantee if we were to literally sit there today and just, let's consume marketing everywhere. Every piece of marketing that attempts to get our attention is going to be predetermined. It's produced, it's overproduced, it's a sales message.
It's way too expensive too.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. And what I think a lot of businesses are missing is nowadays attracting attention's changed. You're not attracting attention with the Super Bowl's coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but 10 years ago it was like companies spending $3 million on a commercial, and it's unbelievable, and people watch that. Now it'll probably still exist, but it's like, wow, you could do so many cool things where it could be a behind the scenes of, hey, we're not going to show you how we made the Doritos commercial. We're going to show you the behind the scenes, how many bags of Doritos we ate during the filming.
Yeah.
And it's just funny and it's fun. It might get more attention. Yeah. But what I'm finding is when I look at that ABR acronym, I literally want to get giant letters built for in here, like Grant had at 10X.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's what we've got to grab onto is how do we help small businesses, what I call the little guy, the little lady. How do we help them attract attention? How do we help them build a relationship and a database off that attention? Following, how do we help them retain people? $14.8. Did you get that? $17.11. Look at your phone.
Fuck this game!
You want a piece of this?
I thought we were gonna lose.
You're gonna. I just dominate those two. Let's go. Just wash your hands when you're done. Fucking lightweights. Ooh. 3-0. We are a bank. We do lend money. We do this. Blah, 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 blah. And that way it's in there verbally. It's in there visually. Anytime a blog post or like a press release or Facebook, Instagram, like always having those things covered. And then on the behind the scenes stuff, just knowing, okay, you're going to have some behind the scenes things where, we're going to be in the conference room looking at a new product that we think would be cool for our customers to have for investment or for this or for that. And that's
But
where,
most of the, little of this is that.
Yeah,
we,
little.
We're not pushing
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
We're just being
We're just
out
being
there.
us. We're just,
Yeah.
We just want them to know us because all of our stuff is a commodity.
The
Yep.
no, like in
Anybody do a
trucks.
home equity,
Well, right.
anybody do a loan, rates are gonna be pretty competitive, but it's us that make
Yeah.
it different in our
Right.
place. And that's what what this is about.
yeah. And what I look at with the behind the scenes is that if you break it up in the quarters, 25% should be, like 25% of Grant stuff and 25% of my stuff is selling something. Is, hey guys, this is why we're good at, this is how we can help restaurants. This is what they need to be doing. There is a message, but it's delivered in a matter-of-fact way. And then the other side of it is 25% of it is nothing to do with what we do. It's me kicking the hat off a kid's head. It's my car getting towed. It's us playing ping pong. It's, it's going on the road. It's going to the Grant Cardone event last week. It's things that kind of tie in. And so it kind of all works together because you want people to watch 40 or 50 of these, and then at some point they're going to end up on a blog post on the website. And then on that website, they're going to go, man, we've been thinking about refiing. And then that takes them. You don't need to be selling the services. That's why the biggest thing that kills me with businesses, like I was talking to Ronco about this, I'm like, you realize that 99.9% of every piece of content that any small business puts out right now, radio, TV, print, Facebook, direct mail, it's asking people to buy. And the problem is 95% of the people that see it aren't even in the market. And so they ignore it. And so when they ignore your email once, that becomes a habit. The next time your email comes, they ignore it again. They ignore it again. What happens is by the time it gets to a point where they actually, oh yeah, I do need a line of credit, or I do need a home equity, or I do need to get a car loan, or whatever, they've ignored your marketing. And now they're just shopping for something because your marketing has always been that. Whereas I look at it the opposite way, that if Aramco or the bank on a daily basis are putting content out that is not about the business, you're going to relate to the 100% of people, because now all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's our message about us going to check out the 4 teams that are in the high school football playoffs this week in Northern Kentucky, and then Carrollton, Kentucky, and then Warsaw. Yeah. Here's us doing this. And now all of a sudden it's not about banking, and it opens it up to now your message is relevant to 60% of the audience, and they consume it, and they're listening to it, and their head is seeing who's putting it out. They see the Facebook. Like I told Graders one time, Graders were so concerned years ago when we did some little consulting with them back early on. And the problem with guys like me is we don't charge enough to demand enough respect sometimes, that when they're paying their Northlick out of downtown Cincinnati 6 figures a month, little old Matt Plapp that nobody's talking about. But I'm like, dude, all I need to do is see the word Graders, and I want ice cream. I see Gold Star chili, I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. I don't need to see a Coney. But the problem is every business wants to show you the Coney. They want to show you the ice cream. They want to show you whatever. And my world is, if we can get the bank's name in people's phone via an email, a text, a Facebook post, a Snapchat, a TikTok, all this type of stuff on a consistent basis, that in 6 months or a year, their head has seen that name over and over and over. And when it comes time to buy something or do something, then it's there. So that when they do see your marketing message, it's like, oh, I know them. And then it's compliant. Because you would hate me. Thank God we don't have to be compliant in the marketing world as much.
No bank's doing this. There is a bank in Louisiana. I think they're in Louisiana because I know they sort of changed their whole marketing after the Katrina hit and wiped them out, and they started fresh and went digital and got rid of their locations, and everything's online. And they do a lot of cool stuff. I saw it 3 or 4 years ago. They were doing all the Twitter, Facebook, and had full-time people just responding to folks on it.
Business is good. We're just in this weird place where you've been there. We're just breaking through that.
Yeah, when you break through it, you get to the next level of bullshit, which I've been dealing with lately. What was it? You said you're building a plane.
I'm building a plane, like a legit airplane.
Do you have a pilot's license?
I do.
What kind of plane is it? Like a Cessna, or what is it? Is it when it says high? Is it still prop, or is it jet?
Yeah, it's a prop. No,
Okay.
no, I can't afford jet. I don't make Matt Platt money yet. I still make restaurant boss money.
There you go. I was picturing model plane because I was watching an Instagram video the other day with this guy. It said something like Dad's maiden voyage for his new plane, and he's got it, and he starts taking it off in the field, and I guess his one son goes running across the field, and they collide, and it freaking. Yeah, we had David, one of my video guys. He had a first time ever where he was shooting some stuff down in Cincinnati area by the river. He was getting some drone footage, and his phone went dead, and he didn't know, he had never had that happen, and he didn't know what the hell.
So the drone was up in the air and the phone.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what the hell, where the hell's the drone? We're looking around, and he's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and next thing you know, it just lands right where we're supposed to land.
I was gonna say, if it
Yeah.
was a good enough drone, it should have had a fail-safe where it
Yeah.
would return to the GPS coordinate that it took off.
Yeah, that's what it did. But he was like, literally when it happened, he's like, because it was way the hell out. And he's like, what the fuck, what's going on? What's going on with my drone? He's like, dude, I think the battery's dead. My phone went dead. And I'm like, what's that mean? He's like, I don't know. And so we're just sitting there looking around and trying to, because it literally came in right behind us. We hear this, we look, and there it was. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy. Okay, sitting here at Morton's, gonna have a steak with my man Luis from the team. We're down here. It's me. Morton's the other night. So I want to break this video down a little for you. But first, I want y'all to watch it. So, little context. This is me Friday night I guess, 4 nights ago, Morton Steakhouse. And this is a question that drives me bonkers. Hey, how you doing? You say it to all your customers. Every restaurant does it. But more than that, it's the 3 questions that always get asked and a couple that don't. And those couple that don't aren't getting asked nationwide. I want to come back to that after the video. So we're going to insert this video on here, and you can just pick up watching me here and watch it here. And this just happened to me, and I think it's important for y'all to know because there's 3 questions every restaurant asks, every one of them. And there's one of those questions that needs to be replaced. So first, I walked in just now. The hostess asked me a question. How you doing? It's the number 1 question every restaurant asks. And let's be honest, you don't actually give a shit how Matt Plapp is doing, just like they don't care the answer that you give them. So get rid of that part of the question. The next one is, hey, what do you want to eat tonight? The third one is, give me your credit card or cash and pay your bill. So the 3 things you ask is, how the hell you doing? You don't care. What do you want to eat tonight? And how are you paying? I want you to think about this. You have failed to engage your customers. You have failed to have a conversation that actually matters. So I want you to ask yourself this: what can you do to engage them in a better manner? What if you had a piece of paper that was laminated with some beer caps, and you showed it and said, hey, how many beer caps are in here? Guess for a chance to win a $100 gift card. We're going to draw it on Facebook every week. So I want you to replace that question of, hey, how you doing? Because you don't actually care, and I don't care to answer it. I don't care what your answer is. And I want you to replace it with something that engages your customer, that has fun, that has a conversation. And more importantly, if you're using the right tools, like on that contest I said, you can get that to go down a funnel of getting the customers to engage with their data and join your database. So get rid of the hey, how you doing, and add something that helps you engage and get data. See you later. So I ended the video with add something that helps you engage and get data. So first thing, this is a book I'm reading that ironically is sitting here. I just actually finished it this morning, called Get to the Point. And the topic of the book is about, as a speaker, as somebody that presents content to people, is getting to the point. And that if you get up on stage, let's say I'm actually writing a speech right now that I'm going to deliver this year called Outsmart or Outspend. That if I get up on stage and go, hey, it's Matt Plapp, hey, how's the weather, hey, it's all this, I lose my point. He's like, get to the point. Bring it up right away and dive into it. Get rid of the ums, the likes, all the nuances. Well, when you think about your restaurant, there's a couple of things that happen. Your employees aren't trained in the art of conversation. If I go to a higher end restaurant, like I was at a Ruth Chris in, in Savannah, Georgia recently with my wife and son, and that server was off the chain. Like, the conversation was never dull. There was no filler. There were none of the BS questions. He didn't walk up and go, hey, how you doing? Because number one, let's be honest, like I said in the video, you don't care how I'm doing. Just like when I ask you, if I ask you for some dumb reason, I don't care how you're doing. It's a filler question. If you want to actually engage people, you've got to do it correctly. So this is one of my goals in the near future, is to teach restaurants how to teach their employees how to get rid of useless questions. And here's why. So the video talks about it a little, but I think it goes even deeper. So in my speech, in my book, and what I'm working on be called, Outsmart or Outspend. The fact is, restaurants can't outspend the big boys, but restaurants can outsmart. And we've got a page on our website, americasbestrestaurants.com/stats. And it's got 6 things that we have measured restaurants on what they're doing or not doing that we know are important. And all of them lead back to one thing. They lead back to conversations. And when you see that restaurants, to the tune of like 90 to 95%, aren't having conversations with their customers inside the 4 walls, outside of how you doing, what do you want, how you paying, you realize the minute a restaurant puts things in place, it's going to go to the next level. What we've figured out that helps our business is that we start with this piece of content at the top, so the podcast. From there, we distribute it to a press release, to a blog post, to an email and a text. So we've got 3 pieces of content that come out of that high-level, long-form, Matt Plapp interviews Father Dwayne Plapp, blah, blah, blah. It's a press release. It goes out. It's just meant to get attention somewhere. What we then do, the next part, which is the cool part, is that most people won't watch. They'll see me and my dad. If the first time they ever came across me was a 20-minute interview of me and my dad, or me and Greg about the casino business or entertainment business, they wouldn't consume that entire piece of content. It's like, who the hell's this guy? He looks stupid. He's wearing orange. Why does he got orange on? Whatever. But what we do is we take it next and we chop it up into short content. So there's 11 platforms that we found that people are on right now. And so you've got 11 pieces of content now. And so now that piece of content, that video of me and Greg Tufts talking about the casino business for 30 minutes here, gets put out and decimated on the internet 3 times. It gets put long form and we chop it up, and now we've got 5 fire clips that go across all these platforms. And what it generates is, on an annual basis, 2,100 pieces of content on a low end. And so what happens is, instead of what we've all been doing and what everybody's doing the last 5 to 6 years, is everybody gets on Facebook, makes a Facebook post, this is somebody that won something, this is our current promotions, and those things still work to some extent, but it gets kind of diluted. And so one of the things I'm trying to take back to our clients is say, hey, how do we train you and train your staff on how to have in-depth conversations that are easy and fun and not daunting? Because the question where somebody comes up and says, hey, how you doing? Everybody says the exact same crap back. I'll never forget back in like 1999 at a Tom Hopkins seminar, a sales training seminar, that was one of his things. When you go back to the office tomorrow, commit to not saying how you doing. Sure enough, I called this guy, hey, how you doing? And he went on a 20-minute diatribe about how his wife was leaving him and he had a lame duck job and he couldn't make any marketing decisions. And here I am trying to talk to him about advertising. Had I not asked that question, I wouldn't have went down that long path. So what I want to do is teach restaurants a little different. I want to arm our employees, the employees of the restaurants, with tools to have better conversations. So what I mean by that is, imagine if Matt Plapp walks in, like on Saturday, when I was down at Grant Cardone's event still, I wore my Pop-Tart socks. I have different socks I wear. I have my Pop-Tart socks. One of the reasons I have those is when I walk up to people, I'll walk up to like you, Max, go, Max, I'll ask you right now, toasted or no toasted Pop-Tarts? Toasted. Thank you. You got to toast your Pop-Tarts. They're called Pop-Tarts for that reason. But you know what? Like 50% of people tell me they don't toast their Pop-Tarts. Now, I do that because when I go to this business meeting like I did Saturday, I had 5 really good conversations because people, saw they saw my J's. They like the orange and white J's, and they go, oh, those Pop-Tart socks? I'm like, yeah, leads to my question, toasted or not toasted. It takes the edge off the conversation. You don't have the bullshit, hey, how you doing? So from a restaurant standpoint, imagine if you armed your cashiers, your people that are working that line, the people that are waiting on tables, the bartenders, with a litany of those questions. One of my goals is to come up with 365 questions. That way, every day that restaurant's team gets an email that comes and says, today's question of the day, do you use pineapple or not on pizza? Are you a flats or a drums guy? Are you boneless or regular? Are you a waffle cone or sugar cone? I mean, stuff that will have people kind of wondering, like, what? Maybe it's a picture. Maybe it's, hey, how many Skittles you see in this picture? And they look and go, I don't know, 500. Okay, cool. Now you've started a conversation, but there's a next level to that. My next level is teaching people how to leverage that. Hey, by the way, that question of the day is on our Facebook or Instagram right now. We're giving away a $25 gift card today. Go to Instagram and let people know if you're a toasted or not toasted Pop-Tarts person. By the way, what do you want today? What brings you in? The goal with your restaurant is to have as much awareness of your customers as possible, but also have the right awareness. If I come in your restaurant and you cause me to smile, that's good awareness. If that awareness causes me to smile and gets me to go to social media and gets me engaged in something, that's more awareness. And then all of a sudden, if that awareness leads to a tool like we have in Database Dynamite that gets people to opt in with their email, birthday, phone number, it's next level stuff. Because at the end of the day, you can outsmart or you can outspend the big boys. You can outsmart Chick-fil-A or you can outspend them. Well, guess what? You ain't outspending them. We all know that. I'm not outspending, you're not outspending, nobody is. But you can outsmart them. And you can outsmart them with awesome conversations, fun atmospheres, and then things that lead to other conversations. Because if Matt Plapp sees, hears, touches your restaurant in the next 52 weeks, 50 or 100 times more, enjoys coming to your restaurant more, sees it more often on my phone, I'm going to eat there more. And at the end of the day, that's the goal. How do we get people to eat at your restaurant more often? It all starts with awareness, but that awareness has to be the right awareness, and then it has to take them down a path. So that's a little more context to my Morton's video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you need anything, go to mattplapp.com. There's my contact me page there, and there's how you can work with us from a marketing side, consulting, or just advice. That's all I got. I'll see you later.